everyone, my name is Kara Bernstein. I am here at the Four Seasons Denver at our 10th edition Transformational CMO Assembly. I am joined today by Valerie Beaulieu. She is the CMO at Microsoft US. Thank you so much, Valerie, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you just led a fantastic presentation for our C-suite executives, and I'm glad you have a few minutes to sit down with us now. So I wanted to ask you, though, about the beginning. And you've been with Microsoft for quite a few years. So tell us how you got there and what drove you to this company.
It's a funny question because guess what? I was never destined and I never had the destiny to come and join an IT company. I started my career as a journalist.
Really?
And
okay.
So I moved from being a journalist to become a marketing because I wanted to be on the other side of the fence and not being just storytelling, fantastic things that others were doing, but really do it by myself. So when I joined Microsoft, I started as I was in everything marketing. So I was doing Windows in the morning and flight simulator in the afternoon and corporate incubation at night. So it was all over the place. Wow. And then over the years, I moved to business. Usually that's us marketing, we want to prove that we are right. And so we move into sales to prove our points. So I stayed a few years in sales and driving business, managing P&Ls. And I just came back recently in the US to drive the marketing team for the B2B business. And I'm so pleased to bring all my experience acquired across Asia, Europe, and several roles, sales, operations, to bear into the current role. So that's my story in a couple of minutes.
So you've seen it all. There's been a lot of change, I'm sure, throughout the years as well. So what are some of the things that you and Microsoft have learned about transforming marketing?
Well, transforming marketing is probably the epitome of our own transformation. And there's probably three big pillars on which we anchored our transformation, both as a company but also in marketing, which is first the culture, so making sure that we are really clear on our purpose as a company. So that's all the work that Satya Nadella and the leadership has done through focus groups and teams, feedback, and partner customer feedback to land our mission statement around empowering every customers and every organization and every individual on the planet to achieve more. And anchoring that also in the very strong set of values that is infusing everything we do. So culture, a first big pillar. The second big pillar is around capability. So our people, how do we hire the right people who will really be able to speak the customer speak? So that's about the marketing, customer obsession and customer centricity, but also making sure that we have the right set of talent, both in art and science, as we know modern marketing is evolving towards, so being both able to read the data, understand the data, use the data, but keeping the creativity alive to really drive a difference above the chatter and the clutter.
Sure. So I actually want to talk about that, the clutter and also the shiny new words that everyone is, kind of becoming attracted to. So AI, obviously one of those shiny words that's been floating around for a while now. And I'm curious your thoughts on this and what are your teams doing to either make it center stage or try to slow down a little bit? What are you doing about leveraging AI?
Absolutely. And when I think about the pillars for our transformation, culture I mentioned, capability I mentioned, and technology, and AI as part of technology is the third pillar of, and the third leg of the stool, if I may use this analogy. Mm-hmm. And so this is very important for us because when you collect data to understand where the customer is in their journey and to really identify where to influence them, on which to engage them next, it's important that you're able to translate that data in an insight that is really actionable. Mm. And this is where AI can really help you to really process a huge amount of data into pieces of insight that will really tell you what is really the trend that you're identifying in terms of customer behavior. What is the customer journey that you can tailor for that specific customer based on the interaction they have with you? And this would not be possible without AI. If you had to follow and aggregate all the touch points with a brand by hand, that's not possible. So when you think about these millions of touch points and being able to drive insights and score these insights to really drive correlation and propensity, I think this is how we're thinking about AI. And one of the examples I mentioned in my presentation is how we're using AI to really help our insight sellers to prioritize their call plan for the day, having the right priority customers popping up in their daily dashboard, daily recommender, based on the scoring that we would do of the marketing touchpoint we've had with this customer, based on intelligence we have on the highest propensity. So that's one of the examples.
And it's exciting because it's really just the beginning. Where is it going?
It is indeed just the beginning, because we are still in the infancy of the sophistication we can get to. Today we are still at basic touch point to basic correlation, but will we be able, and we will be able, to go to the next level of sophistication in terms of what kind of touch point, with which audience at the customer, which specific contacts, in which sequence, and for which kind of business outcomes, not only a mere revenue outcome, but when to engage to accelerate. So it could be velocity, upsell, cross-sell. So I think the span of things we can do in the future is just there for us to grab.
And you led me to my next question about the future. We're heading into 2020. Is there a specific technology or a specific trend that you and your organization are kind of keeping an eye on? What should marketers be focusing on?
Well, it's funny because in our world of super fast transformation, I think it's all about listening and being open. I mentioned to you that we move from a learn-it-all culture to a growth mindset culture, so being open to what's happening out in the market. And I think we need to apply that to marketing. I cannot tell you what's the next breakthrough technology. What I'm sure is that there will be one. Mm-hmm. And so being open to what's happening and really listening to how you need to engage with your customers. What's really hype also in the frontier that the consumer marketing is driving for us in the B2B space, and looking and monitoring what's happening in the consumer space is also something that I would urge all of us to do. So obviously data and intelligence, artificial intelligence will continue to be very top of mind. And as we get more sophisticated, this is something that we will make sure that we'll leverage. Mind you, content and creativity is something we should not underestimate. So as I was telling you, I think data, machine learning, technology is a mean to an end. It's not the end game. It's only how this will enable you to really create memorable customer experience that will absolutely fit your customer expectation at the time and the moment you will disrupt them the least to get the best impression on them.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your insights. I'm excited to see where Microsoft is heading, and thank you for being at the Millennium Alliance.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.